It begins in Seattle, Washington. Ted Bundy is the picture of success, a charming, intelligent young man studying law at the University of Washington. He volunteers on political campaigns, smiles for photographs, and easily wins people's trust. To friends, he's a future lawyer. To strangers, a polite, well-spoken man. No one suspects the darkness hiding behind that perfect smile. But when night falls, Bundy's mask slips. In his small apartment, law books lie open beside ropes, crowbars, and old newspaper clippings of missing women. He studies them carefully, learning from their mistakes, refining his plans. Ted isn't just fascinated by crime. He's preparing to commit it. On a warm July afternoon, families gather at Lake Sammamish State Park. Among the crowd is a man with his arm in a fake cast, asking women for help loading a sailboat onto his car. He speaks softly, politely, almost shyly. A young woman agrees to help him. Moments later, she disappears. By the end of the summer, several more women vanish, all last seen with a man named Ted. Across Washington state, police departments fill their bulletin boards with missing person photos. Young women, similar in appearance, brunette hair, college students, the same haunting pattern. Detectives notice something chilling. Witnesses keep mentioning the same man, the same name, the same car, a tan Volkswagen Beetle. The search narrows, but Ted Bundy is always one step ahead. Bundy doesn't stop. When the heat rises in Washington, he drives across state lines, Utah, Colorado, Idaho. He changes cars, changes names, even changes his accent. Wherever he goes, disappearances follow. To the public, it seems impossible that one man could be responsible for so many crimes. But investigators begin to piece it together. The same description, the same method, the same cold precision. A small mistake finally catches up with him. One night, a police officer in Utah pulls over a Volkswagen Beetle for suspicious driving. Inside the trunk, the officer finds handcuffs, a ski mask, and a crowbar. Bundy is polite, calm, cooperative, almost too calm. Without direct evidence of murder, he's released. And once again, he disappears into the night. A year later, Bundy stands trial in Colorado for kidnapping. He represents himself in court, a legal privilege that gives him access to the courthouse library, alone and unsupervised. During a recess, he studies quietly by the window, then suddenly leaps from the second floor. He crashes into the snow and runs straight into the mountains. Within seconds, the most notorious killer in America vanishes. For nearly a week, Bundy wanders through the Colorado wilderness. He steals food, sleeps in abandoned cabins, and hides under fallen trees. The temperature drops below freezing. When police finally recapture him, he's starving, exhausted, but still smiling, as if it was all a game. To Bundy, capture isn't failure. It's just another challenge to overcome. Months later, Bundy is held in a small county jail in Colorado. He loses weight deliberately, studies guard routines, and quietly works on a hole in his cell ceiling. On New Year's Eve, while the guards watch television and celebrate, Bundy slips through the hole, crawls across the attic, and drops into the jailer's apartment. He changes clothes, walks out the front door, and disappears again, into the freezing night. By morning, he's hundreds of miles away. Bundy drives across the country in stolen cars, blending into the crowds of America's highways. He uses fake IDs, steals from stores, and stays in cheap motels. From Colorado to Chicago, then down to Florida, he becomes more reckless, more unstable. The calm, collected killer is gone, replaced by a desperate fugitive clinging to control. In January 1978, Bundy arrives in Tallahassee and rents a small room near Florida State University. For a while, he lives quietly under a false name. But one night, he slips into the Chi Omega sorority house. Minutes later, 2 women are dead, and 2 more are critically injured. The scene is brutal, chaotic, unplanned. Bundy's calculated facade has finally shattered. Weeks later, at 1:30 in the morning, a police officer in Pensacola notices a stolen orange Volkswagen Beetle weaving down the street. He pulls it over. When the driver is confronted, he attacks, furious, panicked, cornered. The officer wrestles him to the ground and cuffs him. When asked for his name, the man hesitates, then says softly, "Ted Bundy." After years of fear and escape, the manhunt is finally over. Bundy's trial becomes one of the first ever televised court cases in American history. He plays to the cameras, smiles at the jury, and even flirts with reporters. To him, it's not a trial, it's a stage. But the evidence piles up, the witnesses testify, and the mask begins to crack. When the verdict is read, guilty of murder, Bundy remains expressionless. His charm has finally failed him. After nearly a decade on death row, Ted Bundy's time runs out. On January 24, 1989, he's led down a corridor to the electric chair. Outside the prison gates, crowds gather, chanting, "Burn, Bundy, burn." When the switch is thrown, it's over in seconds. The man who thought he could outsmart the world meets a simple, final truth: no one escapes forever.